I don't feel like I'm getting on top like this. I feel like the club's actually staying more back. Striker, when they hit the ball there, you can kind of see the trail arm under the lead arm.
Put the club back here a few feet. I want you to sweep up and get it and keep that right wrist extension and go chip a few like that. He was shocked. He actually hit it low, but didn't make a big divot. Hey everyone, we're going to talk today about how to hit down on the golf ball without getting steep. Okay, Milo, so I had a good question for you the other day. I asked you, how do you feel like you're striking the golf ball? Does it feel like you're attacking it, coming more, let's say, on top of it or down, which you see often sort of shown by, you know, even some tour pros show this look, right? With that right hand more down on top of it? Or do you feel like it's a little bit more from underneath, almost coming more from under the golf ball or the inside half of that golf ball?
From the inside half would be is how I answered, and I feel like I get there. So as I'm coming down, I don't feel like I'm getting on top like this. I feel like the club's actually staying more back, and my right hand, you can see my right palm is actually kind of under the golf club. I'm not getting on top of the golf club. And then as I turn the corner, my right hand is coming into the ball like this, not on top of it.
And what you notice is a lot of the videos you'll watch of either your swing, and a lot of tour pros, the right arm tends to look a little under the left at impact. So that's kind of what you're alluding to a little bit?
Yeah, somewhat. So at impact, pretty much every really great ball striker, when they hit the ball there, you can kind of see the lead arm under, or the trail arm under the lead arm.
Assuming the camera angle's good.
If the camera angle's straight down the line, you don't see many really good ball strikers this direction. Unless they're cutters.
Well, and if the right arm is getting on top, especially in the downswing itself, early in the downswing, we get more of that shaft tending to get a little steeper.
The tumble.
But just as from an impact standpoint, I guess I was curious what your feel is as far as if you're really covering it, where that club, the actual club head, is coming more on top of the golf ball, where you're really, obviously it's de-lofted, but you're actually hitting like the top side or above the equator.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
No. I feel like the club head itself is traveling fairly level in this window. It's going down, but it's not going down drastically. It's like 5 degrees down, so it's pretty level. And the handle's actually working up the other side of the arc.
Up and around the corner.
Yeah, so the head's coming from behind, and as the handle starts to curve around the corner here, the club works down and out into the ball.
Now I can hear everybody behind this camera asking, okay, well Milo, how do you create a downward angle of attack if you're not actually hitting or feeling like you're hitting down on the golf ball?
The timing of the unloading of the wrists is the majority of it.
So the wrists?
So if I load myself down and I'm unwinding, my handle reaches its lowest point somewhere in this vicinity, so kind of right out in front of my right leg. Now the handle's curving up, but as the handle gets pulled up, that actually starts to unload my wrists, which you can see that the club head is working down. And those two things are kind of almost canceling each other out, because if all I did is just unhinge my wrists from here, it would be a very steep stick in the earth. But if I'm pushing up, and as that unloads, you can see that just like striking a match, just right along the ground.
Yes. Obviously, too, in transition, especially with the shorter clubs, irons, when we transition, there is some of that shift back to the lead side. So I would guess there's some residual from that as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a little float of my center of mass, so I'm landing a little bit more left than where I was at the top of my swing. And then I'm turning that corner.
So I guess the main point we're trying to make is that the hitting down isn't as much about the actual hand or the actual club or your right arm really going down into the golf ball. It's more about how we're creating it with right wrist extension and turning actually up and around the corner.
Yeah, so our body's turning up and around the corner, which is, like I said earlier, it's pulling the handle out. And as my right arm is straightening out, it's straightening out through the ball. So it's coming like this through the golf ball, not
down
into the ground back there.
Probably not good for your mat at home or the earth when you get out on the golf course.
Yeah. Now some people might actually say that they feel like they're making their arm go down, but that would only work if they matched it with their body turning.
Yeah.
So the timing of that sends their arm straightens out here in front of them,
yeah,
not back there, hopefully.
Yeah. A cool little story too, I think we talked about this off air, is with Tony Finau growing up in Utah, and his dad kind of built a little setup for him in the garage. Well, you know the story pretty well, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Tony, they didn't have a lot of money, so they weren't able to go to the golf course to practice. So his dad got them, they had a little rug, and they put it on the cement floor.
Probably thin carpet, really.
Yeah, it had no pad under it, so it's just the carpet.
Yeah.
And so you're hitting basically off of cement with a little tiny bit of cushion, and so Tony had to be pretty shallow.
Yeah. And
so he learned how to hit it as hard as he could without crashing hard into that cement and busting his hands up.
Exactly, without breaking his wrists. Yeah. And how many shots have we seen on tour over the years where elite players are either up in the grandstands, or they're on the cart path, or they're off a firm desert lie or whatnot, and they just sweep it right off that, or a little clip, you know? Same with fairway bunkers.
Sure. It's a similar idea of hitting. You don't want to get steep in the fairway bunker, because if you are steep, then if you hit a millimeter behind it, you didn't hit it good. Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually perfect. Let's get into like actually doing drills and exercises with this method or thought in mind. So we got our backyard set up here at Milo's house. We got a mat, and a mat's actually a good way to sort of test this out. Yes, hitting off of tight lies or at the range, you know, making sure you get ball first contact, that's all great. But the mat, we want to kind of take the noise down a little bit, not make such a thud into this mat, which we so often see in lessons, you know, indoor lessons and at people at home. We're going to do a little bit of a sweep method. So we're going to start slow.
Okay. Are you hitting or am I hitting?
Why don't you start? And I want you to just hit some. You got a wedge here, right? Sand wedge?
I have a sand wedge.
Okay, let's see some shallow sweepers, and we're going to listen. I don't want to hear a big thud. How about that? The thud was out there, not down here, right?
I touched the grass, but barely.
And that one you even hit maybe just a groove low like a lot of the tour pros do.
That was on purpose.
Yeah.
So that time I didn't even touch the mat, I just nipped it off of it.
So those of you that are wondering, how do I hit that spinny nipper? Well,
this is a good way to practice it.
You can still have that good downward angle of attack without digging down into the ground, or in this case, the mat.
To get that spinny nipper, you actually need to hit it a little lower on the face. You don't want to hit it up the face. So that was hit right on the button.
And we talked about another little feel they can add to this, where they almost just start with the club back here and just sweep up into the ball, so they feel like that real shallow entry, and it gets them turning up and around the corner pretty good.
So as I'm doing that, I'm down pretty low here, and now I've got to push my left side kind of up and around and elevate the handle as I unload into it. It's a good way to feel it.
So I actually had a student a few weeks back who was a pretty good player, really swinging it well, but you could still see he was getting really sliding out away towards the target, very lateral, and it just looked like he wanted to hit down on that golf ball, because how many people have been told to hit down on the golf ball?
Everybody.
Right. So I told him, I was like, okay, I want you to put the club back here a few feet. I want you to sweep up and get it and keep that right wrist extension. Actually, for him, as the left wrist, left-handed player. And go chip a few like that. And he was shocked. He actually hit it low, but didn't make a big divot. Then he took that into his full swing, and he stopped getting as much lateral.
Then you could start feeling like that kind of a motion.
Yep.
And that was pretty, for a sand wedge, that's a pretty low trajectory right there.
Yep. Now it's a real test. We got our quadrant mat here, which is nice and cushy. I'm taking it out. We're going down to your putting green.
Gotta hit it off the turf? Gotta hit it off the green?
Hit it off your green. Can you do the same thing?
Sure.
So now we're in Tony Finau's garage, aren't we?
Pretty much.
Just a little.
I touched the grass, but I hit it pretty good.
Quarter divot.
That was solid.
That was nice.
Yeah, I ripped the cover on that ball right there on the face.
So it's similar to, maybe you guys have heard at home, like a good practice for like short game and chipping is to practice hitting little chips off the edge of the green, assuming your super is okay with it. But that's a really good practice because you learn not to dig so much into the turf.
Yeah, you learn to land the golf club more level.
No one wants to hurt a green like that.
No.
So it's a real nice way to sort of learn that more of a sweeping bottom of the arc. So you get that wide bottom of the arc, and the way that that angle of attack is created, again, is with the right wrist angle, and then that club comes in a little delofted because of that. So you get more of that glancing blow as far as to the earth,
the ground,
but it's that meaty contact with the ball.
Yeah.
Versus so many people at home, what are they trying to do?
Hit down on that sucker.
And what does that make their golf swing?
They're always steep. Pretty
steep. And then they got, if anything, they got to back up out of it because they know it's not going to be good.
And then they hit the thins and the fats.
Thins, fats. So probably sounds familiar. So learn to sweep it a little bit more and find maybe some ways at home to practice off of kind of tight, firmer lies. And, you know, a mat can be good too because we want to take that audio down a little bit and not make such a thud into the mat.
Yep.
Just like we don't want to make massive divots on the golf course.
I like it.
Down from under, maybe?
Sure, I'll call it that. So we hope you like this video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you'd like more information or to learn how to do this one-on-one from us, come to milolinesgolf.com where we can help you learn to swing more like an athlete.
See ya.